Good afternoon, my name is Liz Reddish and I am owner of Well House. I just wanted to come online to share a self-help technique with you rather than doing it on my own and just naturally going to my toolbox. I just thought, why don't I share this with my social community and offer you the opportunity to get the benefits as well. So here I am, feeling quite fatigued, I'm not going to lie, after a busy week of clinic. I'm noticing a little bit of a tension headache appearing, and I know that if I continue to leave it and push on, I'm definitely not going to be at my optimum to read the books that I want to read and make the most of the time that I've got left this afternoon. So I am going to work with something called switching and visual inhibition. And I may also bring in something called auriculars. So to start with, what I tend to encourage is for you to just check in. So I'm going to just close my eyes for a moment and I'm just going to feel into the body. So I'm placing my feet on the floor, making sure I'm supported, and I'm just noticing how my breath is to start with. And my just anything that comes into your awareness. So for me, I can feel slight tension across my chest, up into my jaw, top of my neck and bottom of my base of my skull. And just probably, if I'm honest, the tiredness is more of a kind of wired and tired feeling. I feel quite buzzy, but definitely it's my adrenals rather than a natural energy that's coming up for me. So if I was to give myself a score out of 10, 10 being the optimum of how I would be feeling, I would probably say that I'm about a 6. I mean, I don't feel dreadful at all, but I definitely know that there's room for improvement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand up and place one hand on my navel, and then I'm going to take 2 fingers and a thumb and find the groove just below my collarbone, either side of my sternum. So I'm just going to find that groove and I'm going to start rubbing. So the hand on the navel remains still whilst the thumb and the 2 fingers rub quite firmly from side to side. So once I feel confident and comfortable doing that, I keep my head still and then I take my eyes to the right as far as I can and over to the left as far as I can, over to the right and over to the left. And then I switch my hands over, so the right hand now goes over my navel, my left hand, my thumb and 2 fingers become the rubbing fingers. And once again, I'm going to take it to the left to start with. My eyes attract right as far as I can to the left, before going over to the right, back over to the left, and over to the right. So this is real brain gym stuff. So then these 2 fingers and thumb, they move from a horizontal position into a vertical position, and then we're placing them above and below the top and bottom lip. Now, depending on the length of your nails, you can either do it like that and rubbing vigorously again, quite firmly above and below, or if you'd rather, you can take them to the side. But the key is to have the thumb and then the 2 fingers together. So I prefer it this way because my nails are nice and short. Feel free to do whatever you wish. And this time the eyes are tracking as far up to the ceiling as you can and down to the floor. Up to the ceiling, and I'm really noticing how challenging this is for my eyes to go up there, to come back down. It's almost as like the muscles in my eyes are really just not flowing as they should, or contracting as they possibly could. So I'm just noticing, is that getting any easier? And it absolutely is. And just carry on, and I've just taken a nice sigh, a big breath, which is a suggestion that energy is moving, which is what we're wanting here. And then we're going to swap over. So the left hand covers the navel, stays in one place, where the right hand, 2 fingers and thumb start rubbing, and then the eyes track up to the top, as high as you can to the ceiling. and then down to the floor, up to the ceiling, and down to the floor, up to the ceiling, and down to the floor. I'm also noticing, interestingly, that this area above and below my lips, as I'm massaging, it feels quite tingly and sensitive, and as I'm doing, it's becoming less so. So that again is an indication that perhaps this energy is quite unbalanced. So this now feels a lot easier, having done that a few times. That's what we're looking for. And then finally, we take the whole hand and we place it on the coccyx. So we're going as low down really onto the coccyx, and we're placing a bit of pressure so that we're dragging the skin up and down over the bone. So rather than rubbing the skin over the bone, we're rubbing the skin, rather than rubbing the skin up and down, we're rubbing the skin over the bone, up and down, if that makes sense. I hope that does. So we're rubbing up and down. And this time what I'm doing is I'm looking in front of me, quite a short distance, and then as far into the distance as I can. And then back to a close distance, and then far into the distance. Close distance, far into the distance. Close distance and far into the distance. I tend to yawn as well when energy is shifting. And then I'm going to take my hands in the opposite positions, and again rubbing skin up and down over the bone, looking at close distance, far into the distance, close distance, far into the distance. Excuse me. Close distance, far into the distance. Close distance, far into the distance. And then the other one that we can do is actually looking behind us. So it's useful to have a mirror. And what we do is we're looking again close behind us and then far into the distance behind us. If you struggle with reverse parking using your mirrors, this is a particularly good one to do. So I've got a mirror here in front of me, so I'm looking at the mirror, looking just behind me, and then looking far into the distance. Now you can appreciate behind me is kind of a wall really. It's actually a window, and then there's a wall behind that. So to look far into the distance feels quite restricted. So we can use our mind's eye, we can use it an imaginary landscape behind there, but that's the idea, is to change that perspective from a close distance to far behind you. And don't forget you will naturally favour one side, so take it to the other side of your vision as well. So I'm looking over my left shoulder now, close in the distance, and then far into the distance, close behind me and far into the distance, and swapping over. Oh, nice shift there. Great. So now if I go back into my body and just check into how I'm feeling now, I'm going to notice that breath, that tension that I was feeling was around here, up into the jaw, into the back. There's my little dog giving her a bark. And it's definitely improved, I would say. They're not trained, obviously, to be on camera, but we'll let them go and do what they need to do. But yes, so I would definitely say that the tension is eased. I'm still slightly aware of the tension, but it's definitely not causing the headachy feeling that I had before. Energetically, I definitely feel brighter, and my eyes definitely feel lighter. So out of 10, I was a 6 before. I definitely say I'm an 8 or 9 now, which is a significant improvement. The next thing I'd like to just show you is something called auriculars, and this is a technique we use to really help to stimulate the cerebral spinal fluid, and it really helps with, again, energizing us, releasing any tension in our system. It stimulates the reflex, the auditory reflex, so that ability to kind of move towards sound so that we can listen and learn, I find it incredibly powerful. So what's quite nice to do before we do this technique is just to check into our range of movement and our flexibility to start with. So I'm going to drop my chin to my chest and just notice what that range looks like, or feels like, more importantly. Perhaps looks like for you, but maybe more for me to feel into that. And then taking it to the right, noticing where the restriction starts, perhaps there's a difference from one side to the other. I'm definitely noticing to come to the left is a bit harder than to the right. We can also drop our chins and just bring our ear to the shoulder rather than turning our heads, and that's definitely quite tight on that left side there. And then coming across doesn't feel nearly as restricted. So it's definitely an awareness of more of a restriction on this side. And then the other thing I can do, just remembering to engage your core and loosening your knees, softening your knees. I want you just to roll your chin down and then just allow the vertebra to fold forwards. And just noticing where you naturally hang. So looking at where you are in terms of your fingers. I'm not quite touching my feet actually. There's definitely some tension through the backs of my legs and shoulders. So it's comfortable to hang literally just above my feet. So I'm going to slowly come back up again, just being careful to stack one vertebra on top of the other, engaging the core, and then coming back up. So with this technique, what we're doing is we're unfurling your ears. Feels very unconnected, doesn't it, to our body, but actually we are activating the cerebral spinal fluid. And if you look at the shape of your ear, it's almost the shape of an embryo as a developing fetus in the womb. So I always sort of imagine that we're kind of massaging from the neck all the way down the back of the spine as we come down the outside of the ear. So we're really quite firmly pulling away and stretching the outside of the ear, the cartilage. And you may notice in some places it's a little bit tender. So those are the places that we want to particularly focus on. I can feel a little bit here, which would perhaps relate to my lower back. Give that a little bit of extra work. Nice little shift of energy as I give a sigh and a bit of a yawn, and then I'm going to do the same here on the other side. That's great. You may notice again, one side may feel different to the other. Do it together. Ooh, excuse me. It's not me being tired, it's energy shifting for me. So although I know I reported that I was feeling tired earlier, but I'm actually feeling more and more energized as I do this, which is great. So now what I do is I just come back in, bringing my chin to my chest. So I'm really feeling into how I was before. And then I'm turning around to the left. And already, gosh, where I felt restricted before, there's just nothing there. Totally comfortable. And totally comfortable on that side. Back to the centre. Bring my ear to my shoulder. And this time it just feels much more relaxed. A little bit tension still in there, so I could go back in. Thank you, Winnie, for your support. And then we can come down and just notice how we naturally fall this time. Good girl, Winifred. And here, look, I'm touching the ground, whereas before I was hanging higher. So very slowly coming back up. And let's feel into the body now. Well, the headache's completely gone. There's no feeling of tension at all around my neck. Jaw feels so much easier. My eyes feel so much brighter. So energetically, I'm much more alive. And yeah, feel ready now to embrace the afternoon and enjoy some time doing some study and research. So I hope you find this useful. Any feedback, please let me know. And with a 9 out of 10 now, actually that's being a bit stingy, I'll probably have 10 out of 10 now. So I hope you feel the benefits too. Many thanks.